Good morning. If you're watching this live, this is day 2 of the Bullen virtual show and live from the Bullen broadcast studio. Mark, maybe you'd like to introduce our next guest.
Well, we've been talking a lot over the last several days and last several educational sessions about how important a clean smelling building is into influencing somebody's perception of clean. So we thought maybe the best thing that we could possibly do is search the world over to find the world's most preeminent odor detective. And we found him.
Excellent.
And we have with us Dr. Stink.
Hello, Mark. I am here from Boston, Massachusetts to help you and help my buddy Gary solve the case of the odoriferous school. I have my odor searching magnifying glass, and really I kind of needed to see Gary because he's a little fuzzy. But Gary, tell the people where you are and what you do.
Well, I'm in the southern tier of New York, belong to the United Schools of Rome, and have a number of odor problems that I've come upon since taking over the position just a short time ago.
Well, Gary, I'm here to help you out.
Well, I hope you
Help, buddy. Can I help you out with all those smelly situations?
Well, that'll be determined, but I've got some awful news. First off, the bathrooms,
Bathrooms.
especially the boys and men's. I swear the little guys aren't even trying to hit the urinals, and I think the big guys are just missing it on purpose. So we've got some terrible odors as soon as you walk into the bathroom. What can you do to assist that?
Well, I am working, my partners on this project are RX Laboratories. They can solve just about any odor problem that you may present to me today. So we are going to be talking about RX products as we go through to help solve these problems. Now let's talk about that smelly washroom. Now, does that smell like what you can smell the bathroom as you're walking down the hall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody gives it a big wide berth, right?
Exactly.
So we have a product, and RX Laboratories has a product called RX66. And what it does is it actually consumes all of the bad smelling, all the bacteria that's creating the bad odors. And the odor literally disappears in a couple of days. Would that be interested to you, Gary?
Is that something I can use like on a daily basis, or would I have to use that weekly? How would I go about using that?
It depends on how bad your problem is. If you have a really bad problem and the little boys are peeing every day, yeah, I would recommend you use it. It's a little diluted product, and you can literally use it from 2 ounces a gallon up to full strength, depending on how bad the problem is. But that problem will go away. So, Gary, what other problems do you have in the school for bad stink?
Well, I'm trying to decide if the men's locker room is worse or the ladies' locker room is worse. And so far, I think it might be a toss-up.
Might be a toss-up. So the locker rooms, that's a tough problem. I run into that problem a lot. What is it? Is it the problem with the smelly socks and the football pads and
the uniforms, everything. Volleyball.
You can't take them out. See, one of the things we usually do when we try to solve an odor problem, we get rid of the source of the odor, just like we did in your bathrooms. But in the locker rooms, you can't. The kids aren't going to take their smelly socks home. I got some smelly socks here. Does that look like what it looks like?
Oh, far worse. Far worse.
So here's what we do in the locker rooms. There's a couple of things RX Laboratories has that can help you out with removing those smells. One of them is a system called Spray and Go that actually, it's a chemical that's a disinfectant. So that's going to kill some of the odor causing bacteria that may be on the floors, and nooks and crannies in the locker room. But it's also going to kill germs for health reasons, but it also has an odor counteractant in it. So that's going to help
Okay.
control some of the odors, not just in your locker room, but even in your other athletic spaces. So then we have this thing called a Freshen Air.
Whoa.
Appropriate name, don't you think? Freshen the air. So
Yeah,
what
that looks pretty massive.
it's actually it's just a little bigger than my big head. So here we go, Gary. That particular unit is perfect because it blows a chemical out into the air from a solid microcell, which I happen to have one right here. So you put a couple of these in that cabinet and the air flows across it into the room and it literally eliminates the odors. I was talking to a guy earlier today. He loved it. So he eliminated all the bad smells coming out of the locker rooms, going down into the hallway, into the gymnasium and everything. You think that'll work, Gary?
So that's going to cover a pretty large area then?
Very large. The largest locker rooms I've headed in locker rooms, multiple team spaces, hockey locker rooms. I've got these systems from Bangor, Maine to Buffalo, New York.
Okay. Now with that spray and go you mentioned, would that be, I got a break coming up here where I'm going to be able to actually get into the lockers. Would that be something I could use?
Perfect. Excellent. Because all of that bacteria from the socks and the pads ends up in those lockers, right? So this product will actually kill that odor causing bacteria that ends up in those spaces. You apply it with some sprayers that they have available and you know, really fast, simple, and the smells go away.
That sounds like it should be a great plan. And both of those are readily available through my distributor here.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So, Gary, what else you got that stinks in your school?
Well, the director of the cafeterias just came by, and apparently there's some very foul odors coming out of the drains and the grease trap. And we just spent a fortune having somebody come in and clean out the grease trap. So if there's anything I can do to remedy those kind of situations.
So you cleaned out the grease trap and the odor didn't go away?
Yeah, it was worse.
Wow, I think you need the odor detective. All right, let me tell you what's going on there, Gary. What's happening is they removed all the grease from the grease trap, but they didn't clean the drains. And a lot of the bacteria that's being created from grease that sits on the lining of the drains is what's causing a lot of those odors, as well as in the actual drain traps, plumbing traps. So we have a system that's a product very similar to that RX66. It's a bioenzymatic product that you put down the drains on a regular basis daily. And we can get into details, but let me just tell you, it works amazingly well. And one of the problems when you don't do that is you guys are experiencing. Let me ask you a question. Do the students and staff, when they're in the cafeteria, does it smell like they're eating in the sewer?
It isn't quite that bad. It's more just in the kitchen area.
Okay.
You got the workers that don't even want to work because the place is so bad.
That's a problem. We've got the solution, and that is the RX33, which I have here somewhere. I have a big bag of tricks.
So is that a product that I can, do I have to dilute it or do I just spray? Do I just pour it down the drain?
Pour it down the drain, Gary. Pour it down the drain. We can set you up a little system. ARX Laboratories can set you up with a little system with a pump on the 5-gallon pail that automatically puts it in the drain every night.
Oh, after they're done.
Problem solved.
Okay. How about the dumpsters and trash containers that we've got? Each school's a little different, but each one has at least one dumpster compactor kind of thing. And come summertime or warm weather, it's just repulsive.
You're doing this while you're walking across the parking lot, right? So
you just don't breathe.
Yeah. Take the deep breath.
Right.
All right. So Dr. Stink, the odor detective, has a solution for that also. So here's what we're going to do. ARX Laboratories has a product called RX31. And what it is, Gary, it's a lot of little pellets. Can we see them there?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So they come packaged like this in these little handy packets, or you can buy it in a 10-pound box, and you scoop them in when the odors get bad. And literally, it's one of those products that I've seen it work amazingly well. The odors disappear, the flies go away, all the little rats fly away, and the odors are gone. So what it does, it's an absorbent product. So what it does is it absorbs all of the liquids that don't get moved away when your waste management company comes in. So it absorbs all those liquids that you're basically stewing in the hot air that, as you just said, it happens more in the spring and summertime, and the odors go away. And the question I get from a lot of people that are using this, how often do I use it? And it really comes down to when it starts to smell bad, use it because the odors go away. So that's the beauty of the product. It really is an amazing product. And a lot of people have a lot of success with it. You can also use it inside. So one of the things a lot of people are doing now is composting. And a lot of these compost containers are inside the building. That never made any sense to me. But when composting has off gases that aren't really pleasant. So right, Gary? They stink. So you can use these in, actually that's a compostable product. It's actually cellulose. So throw it in there, it eliminates the odor and composts away like all the other materials. So really neat stuff. We also have some other air care products that you can use for those spaces. This is a smaller version of this.
Thing you had, okay. Yeah.
So this product actually can be used in the bathrooms, although I don't see a lot of schools putting air care dispensers in the bathrooms. Why is that, Gary?
If you're just covering up the problem, you got to take care of the problem first.
Well, that's one reason, but children will be children, which means what?
You're gonna lose them.
Yeah, they're going to get knocked off the wall. You don't see a lot of fixtures in bathrooms. I've even seen schools take out the towel dispensers, believe it or not. But for trash holding rooms and other spaces in the school, this is a perfect cabinet for that. And it uses the same micro cell, the RX19E, that the bigger dispenser uses. So you don't have to add another product.
I could use that in the nurse's office.
Excellent. See, I love the way you're thinking, Gary. So, have you got any other problems?
One of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm having to work with these guys, they're not draining recovery tanks from their auto scrubbers. And to me, that is
Big one.
just repulsive.
What do you think that when you turn on that auto scrubber or carpet extractor?
Oh my God.
What are you actually smelling? What's the cause of that odor?
That's why you're here.
Because I am the odor detective. So here's what's happening there. If you're not cleaning out those tanks and draining them properly, and then you put the recovery tank lid back on that piece of equipment, basically what's happening is you're stewing. You have a stew going on there of bacteria. And when you turn the machine on and that exhaust filter is blowing right into the operator's face, he's really breathing in that bacteria. That's not really healthy, is it, Gary?
Can't imagine, no.
Let alone being just plain unpleasant because of the odor, and then the whole hallway smells by the time you're done.
Oh,
so,
yep.
So a couple of the products that we just talked about can help that problem. So when obviously your staff needs to empty the tanks, keep the lid off. But then before they leave, spray some of that RX66 on the inside of the tank, and
that'll take care of the same thing. Okay.
We also have a product called RX60, which actually, believe it or not, is AirX Laboratories' #1 selling product. It is truly liquid deodorizer in a bottle that you can use full strength down to an ounce per gallon, and you can put that in the tank too. And another good place for it, I'll tell you where to use that product. Do you ever have that musty smell from a vacuum cleaner?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So take a couple of drops of that RX60 I just talked about and put it on the exhaust filters of that vacuum cleaner. Voila, what happens is you now have a clean smelling room while you're cleaning it. So really, really cool products from AirX Laboratories. Gary, we're getting low on time, so I'm going to cut us off here. because I have another school to get to and solve their odor problems. Hey, Gary, good luck with RX Laboratories. We'll catch up with you soon, buddy.
I will get hold of my supplier and get some of those products in. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yep.
So that was a fun little skit with my buddy Gary Conroy from Basco Brands in Elmira, New York, who was kind enough to help us out. I am actually Jack Collins, a regional sales manager for the Bullen companies. And I've had a lot of success selling schools with just these types of products that we just talked about. I actually have a handout from a seminar that I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years that's available. You can surely access that through me. On a slide they're going to show here, there's a picture of the handout. Then you can access me or sales@bullenonline.com and get more information on how to deodorize your school department or any building for that matter. Thanks for your time.